Hello and welcome to Grow Education. My name is Alex Fraser, and on this module we're going to look at the laws surrounding medical cannabis and prescription cannabis medicines here in the United Kingdom. This is a guide predominantly focused for UK police, but may also be helpful to employers, landlords and the general public as well. Let's get started. Medical cannabis was made legal to prescribe in the UK in November 2018. Cannabis medicines are typically known as CBPMs, which stands for cannabis-based products for medicinal use. Prescription cannabis medicines are prescribed via CQC-registered clinics by GMC-registered specialist consultants and dispensed by licensed UK pharmacies. Typically, cannabis medicines remain unlicensed medications, which means little to no NHS access. As a result, many are still unaware that they are legally available to be prescribed. So what forms can be prescribed? It's important to know that flower medications can be prescribed, however they must be vaporized and never smoked. Sublingual oils are also very common. These are taken under the tongue, and there are also cartridge oil vaporizers that might look like a nicotine device, for example, as well as lozenges that might look like a sweet. All cannabis medicines come with a prescription information sticker with the patient's name, date of issue, and details of the dispensing pharmacy. In order to verify their legality, patients need to show just one of the following options: either the prescription sticker on the medicine itself or a prescription copy, either digital or otherwise. Both should match the individual's ID. If these are valid, there is no need to arrest the patient or seize any of their medication. It is legal to consume prescription cannabis in public. Vaporization is permitted both in public and at home, and it's recommended to be discreet and respectful. However, it should be treated like any other prescription medication and should be used when necessary. Here we can see the regulations that specify that herbal or flower cannabis has to be vaporized and not smoked. And it is legal to drive with THC in your system if you are a prescribed patient. However, it is not legal to drive if at all impaired. The Road Traffic Act provides a medical defence that can be used by patients who have tested positive for THC at the roadside, meaning that these tests can be dismissed in court and that individuals will not get a criminal record for testing positive for THC in their bodies. Here you can see this laid out in the Road Traffic Act. In practice, things can get a little bit more complicated. Police are trained to swab if they suspect any cannabis use or possession, irrespective if the individual furnishes a prescription. The medical defence, as in the RTA shown on the previous slide, can only be used after the patient is arrested and swabs and bloods are taken. We hope to see this changed in the long term, but this is how police are acting as it stands. If patients furnishing a prescription are swabbed, detained, or bloods are taken, we urge that police or the general public who are there be gentle and kind with them, communicate how the medical defence works and that you have to go through the process anyway before being let go. Patients have the right to medicate at home. Landlords must not discriminate here. An eviction solely for legal use of a prescription medicine may breach the Equality Act. The smell of cannabis is not a crime when the product is prescribed and cannot be used to hassle patients in any circumstances. Patients do not typically have to close medication unless required, and this will be stipulated in their employment contracts. Employers must make reasonable accommodations for consumption of medicines whilst the patient is at work. Patients are protected under the Equality Act for use of medication whilst at work and generally cannot be discriminated against for legal use of their prescription medication. Events venues must allow reasonable adjustments so that patients can access events. Discrimination against prescribed use may be unlawful and again will contravene the Equalities Act. Clear communication and evidence of prescription helps. It's suggested that patients contact venues in advance of visiting. This is true whether these are for a short day stay or for an overnight stay at, for example, a festival or a hotel. International travel with prescription cannabis may be possible to some countries and nations. Patients should contact their clinic or the embassy of the destination country to clarify. It's important to understand that there are also a great many nations where you are not permitted to fly with cannabis or where herbal medication specifically may not be allowed. The USA, Russia, China, and the vast majority of the Middle East do not let people travel into the country with cannabis medicines. Here you can see a link to all of the UK legislation and guidance given by the government. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.